Hi, everyone. We are coming up on 9:45. Jane Monreal here with you in the Live Impact Studio on WCNC Plus. We thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. Want to talk now about the weather because it looks like we have got some more rain maybe headed our way. Let's go to the professional meteorologist Chris Mulcahy joining us live here in studio now. So, Chris, this is a weather alert. How long should we be alert for?
6 hours.
6 hours.
That's it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a midnight to 6. A lot of you might be sleeping at this point, but here's the deal: you have a really strong line of thunderstorms where we've had probably the most active week, severe weather-wise, that we've had all year long, and that's been mainly across the country. But that same line that is going to potentially drop tornadoes, damaging winds in Tennessee, is moving overnight. So sometimes what happens is if they're moving fast enough, they can still keep their severe characteristics pushing into our area. But if it slows down any, then this was for nothing, and you're going to sleep right through it, and you're good to go. But just in case it does stay together, that's why we're going weather aware. So let's go right to it. Let's get to the maps. Here is the big bullseye. This is where you have a significant threat for damaging winds, and you also have a significant threat for some potential wind damage as well. It's that area of red that is a big cause of concern. However, just because of what it could potentially do as it works a little bit closer to Charlotte and surrounding areas, we do have that low to that medium threat. So that's that yellow to that orange that we have there. But as I mentioned, we have a 6-hour window, and I think that's about midnight to about 6 o'clock. Heavy rain, gusty winds, a few storms going to be a possibility. But I can break that down in a little bit more detail. So whenever we give these windows, you're like, wow, 6 hours. You can't nail it down a little bit further? Well, yes, I can. This is so this is covering from the mountains to the sandhills. So you think about it. We have a big area. We cover 22 counties across North Carolina and South Carolina here on WCNC and WCNC Plus. It's right along the Tennessee border, so it's including Asheville up to our mountains. I think it's either side of midnight that you're going to have that line that I was alluding to that's going to be passing Tennessee push in. It's at that point, if I were to choose our best chance for a tornado overnight tonight, it's right there in some of that darker red. 1 to 3, and that includes Banner Elk to Morganton, Taylorsville, Hickory, Lincolnton, Shelby. Those areas are expected to have some heavy rain at least, probably some active thunder and lightning at that point. It's those areas in the darker to the regular red that you see in a Crayola crayon box. Those areas are most prone to severe weather. Even though everyone is in yellow, and that's just a general chance for a low storm, once it gets to around the I-77 corridor, there's a good chance that it weakens, and that's between 3 and 6 o'clock. So I'm going to go through this version of the Futurecast that keeps it going pretty quick. The one thing that could happen is if this slows down, this will arrive a little bit closer to sunrise, and it's going to be just rain. But if it holds true to what everything is showing here, you are going to see a stronger line of storms in the middle of the night, and that's why we're going weather alert. There is also a chance for storms during the middle of this evening. I think it's really between about 7 and 11. You pop up a few showers or storms. If they do form, they're slow moving, so some areas could pick up to an inch of rain, others see nothing at all. So it's that spread out. Just since they are still so slow, if they sit in one area, they kind of exhaust themselves. Those are the areas that could see up to about an inch of rain. So here's the main event. Notice the 1 o'clock, talking about that 1 to 3, it's right over the Hickory area. About 2 to 4 o'clock, we're seeing it past Charlotte. So this is the fastest version of that model that I have. And notice how it decreased by almost 2/3. That's what's going to happen. The further east you live, the less likely you're going to have severe storms. The further west you go, the stronger this line's going to be. More often than not, this dies out quickly. You might have a severe thunderstorm warning in the mountains. Something happens in Asheville. Nothing happens here. I'm hoping that that's the possibility, but we're going weather alert just in case. But once you get to about 6 o'clock, sun's going to rise at 6:15 tomorrow. We're good. Poof. Gone. And then through the day, things get a lot better. So that's the main reason why we're doing this, just that active line, because this line I think is going to have a history of wind gusts up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if it does produce multiple tornadoes, as we've really seen with these systems. Any questions?
Any questions from the room?
No.
How about the rest of the week? It's Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if I'm getting way too ahead of myself.
No.
Folks, for a long weekend for a lot of people. No?
No, not at all.
Okay,
Because
good.
it's actually this evening that it's going to start to to feel a little bit more humid here. I'm actually going to backtrack. I want to show you something.
Okay.
This is our dew point forecast. We have this front. It's a stationary front that has now moved its way down to the south. Whenever you have a dew point over 65, it's humid. Whenever it's 70, it's that air you can wear. That's prime storm fuel, and that's why it's much higher chances further south and west that we go. Notice our area, 50 to 55. That's inhibiting any storms that we have earlier on. It's not until this front gets a little bit close to us that we even have that thunderstorm chance heading into the evening, but it's areas to the west that are already under that 72, 73, and that's why the area in that red is a higher potential, because once that trough in front plows into that, that drives up that heat and moisture, and that's why you have the better severe weather chance. But once the front moves through tomorrow, it's going to be a breezy day, but it actually starts feeling much better. So the most humid part of the next 7 days is actually later this evening heading into tomorrow morning. Then through the afternoon, values steadily go down. I do the forecast for Gastonia and then also the Knights, so the Gastonia Ghost Peppers for baseball. The only reason why I'm saying that stalling is I actually made a specific one for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. Through the game tomorrow,
Fiery.
1 p.m. because they have a doubleheader. One starts at 12:30. It's in the lower 60s, so that's still a little bit sticky. Once you get to the end of the afternoon, the evening, it feels a lot more comfortable. So we actually have some really nice conditions.
Nice.
Things really start to simmer down. So if you like more of that fall-like weather, or not fall, spring-like weather. I guess it technically is fall-like weather. It's just on the inverse.
Right.
This is going to be really good for you because temperatures are actually falling down into the 70s. Here we go. Jumping around here. We look at the upper 70s for this weekend. I have a lot of icons on here because there's a lot going on.
Oh, there are a lot.
Charlotte FC. Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday night, and then, of
Nice.
course, Memorial Day. But those days will feel much better. It will start feeling a little bit more humid come Sunday and Monday, but this is a nice little break from the heat. We've been kind of feeling more like June for all of April and most of May, so this is a nice little kind of return to where we should have been maybe a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really? This is great. We're just going to sit on this for a while. Take this in, everybody. I know a lot of people are going to hit the road, but why?
Yeah, no,
It's
seriously.
The place to be is right here in the Queen City.
Yeah.
All of that action. Carlene's going to the Coca-Cola 600.
Are you really?
am.
Well,
I sure am.
she
So
has
that'll be
a
good.
diehard NASCAR fan
Yeah, that's
in her
True.
household.
He's actually working it, so I'm going.
Oh,
I'm going.
okay.
I'm going with me and
You're
the
gonna
girls.
tag
Oh,
along.
nice.
And the girls
Okay.
stay at the track.
Oh, sweet.
Me and the girls.
All right. Love it.
Hey, and we've had worst case scenarios for that race, especially in May, that even heading into the evening, because that's one of the coolest things about that race, it goes under the lights
Yeah.
eventually, that it's 90. So it's really nice that we have the upper 70s. That means it's actually going to
It's
be
gonna
really
be
comfortable.
So much better.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I've had 600s where I've just been
Sit there
just in sweat.
In your little pool of sweat.
In sweat.
You're-
And
yeah.
it, like, depends on where you're sitting on the track, but you can
Oh,
be
for sure.
in the sun for a long time.
I went to the Roval, and that's in October,
Yes.
and I'm like, it'll be fine. No, we hit like
was
the hottest October
warm.
ever. Yeah, it was
Ugh.
awful. And I was on the track because they sometimes have a concert in the center.
Yes.
We were dying.
Hot.
Yeah, it was.
Hot. If in the center of that track in the infield, warm. Just
Wow.
warm.
Because think about it, you have the heat from the track, you have all the cars and everything
Cars,
like that. So
yeah.
things are trending good. Yeah, I think you could see a isolated storm pop up. It's very hit or miss. Better chance I think on Memorial Day, but these are so isolated that I think you should be just fine. We'll send good juju.
Yay.
Yes, we will. All right. Well, have fun with that, Carlene.
I will.
Gonna be a good time
I'm
this
kinda used to
weekend?
every 600, usually there is a chance for a storm.
Always,
because
yeah.
that's-
Yeah, it's May.
May.
That's
Then
where
May.
we are
Yeah,
at. Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
kind of go into it, even though it's the longest race of the year, knowing we might have to sit.
Well, we welcomed a lot of folks for PGA last weekend, and now more people are going to be coming in for the 600.
Here.
Charlotte's got a lot. I didn't even think that's a website.
This
so yeah.
is where
Charlotte's got a lot.
it's at. Okay. Chris Mulcahy, thank you so much for
Of
joining
course.
us. Always. We had some severe weather in the Midwest, too, as we bring it back out here. Chris, what can you say about the St. Louis area?
St. Louis area, they saw a bunch of tornado reports, and oftentimes for one given tornado report, you can have a range of an EF0 up to an EF4 depending. So what they saw for their peak damage, where you're seeing a lot of the bricks that came off some of those buildings, the peak wind looked like it was 150 to 155 miles per hour. So that puts us as a strong EF3 tornado. Once you get up to 166, it's EF4. EF4. And the definition of that is just literally devastating, catastrophic. But still, EF3 is significant. At that strength, 150, that can take down bricks. You're seeing a lot of demolished homes. Usually one sign of that, if you have any video of this, we can actually comb through it. If you ever see the exterior walls of a home gone, only the interior ones, that usually represents winds at 140-ish, and that is everything, the telltale signs of up to about an EF3 strength. And it actually only takes 100 to 110 mile per hour winds to move cars. So yeah, check it out. So this is a good example. Seeing pieces of the top wall structure done. This is usually can be done with winds at 120 to about 140 miles per hour. So likely we're seeing damage here, probably about EF2 going on EF3. Can take off the tops of roofs. Also, you know that sometimes tornadoes start to lose their contact with the ground, so it's more of the top floors that get taken out. But yeah, this easily wins over 120. So that would bring us up to about that 111 to 135 range for that EF2, and which, by the way, EF2 is represented as a strong tornado. We have a lot of EF0s, EF1s. That's 90% of all tornadoes. When you get up to this level, it just levels things.
I mean, it's a brick structure, which you think is probably one of the stronger structures you can think of in these beautiful old homes there in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
In the metro, getting plummeted.
And it coincidentally, it's the same state. And I'm not sure if you watched this documentary, but the one on Joplin was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one.
And Joplin, I think really what it did was it opened our eyes up to that this can happen in a populated area.
Right.
And now that you're seeing the outskirts of St. Louis, we've actually seen a lot more appear in Dallas as well, that tornadoes have no zip code. They can go wherever they want, especially if they're strong enough. They can continue going through a stronger area. So it was actually, they started to strengthen and hit their peak at this part of St. Louis, which is absolutely incredible. But one thing you got to know, anytime you're seeing brick demolished from a building, that's a strong tornado. That's going on EF3 strength. You don't want anything over EF0, truthfully, because EF0s give kind of general structural damage. Once you get up to EF2, you're talking about devastation in neighborhoods like you see here.
Yeah, I mean, when you say above EF3 even, I mean, that sounds like just improbable, impossible. That's what movies are made of.
We had video, when was it? Over the weekend, Illinois. You probably remember, you may have showed it yesterday, there was this drone video that you went over a neighborhood and it was completely leveled. That was EF4. And sometimes people go, it has to be EF5. I was like, no. For general houses made of wood, EF4 is enough to do that. And they actually had a peak wind of 190 miles per hour. So that's the worst tornado that we saw from this. And it's just incredible. This setup that we're under is just constant chances. And your best chance is always a supercell. It's a rotating thunderstorm. 100% of the time they produce hail, and oftentimes it's the hail core that's the warning before that storm actually arrives. So if you ever look at a storm map, most likely if you see a bunch of tornadoes that pop up there, it's probably surrounded by hail because the hail happens first.
Okay. All right. Chris Mulcahy, once again, we got some bonus time with you. Appreciate
Always
you
appreciate it.
again.